It's the holiday season, and for many of us that means days filled with stress-inducing interactions with relatives we haven't seen most of the year, while eating ridiculous amounts of food and, I hope, drinking a decent amount of alcohol to make all of this experience go down easier. To honor this holiday season, I wanted to do a review of the episode Fishes of the acclaimed TV show The Bear. This is my perverse way of honoring the Christmas spirit by focusing on one of the most intense depictions of a dysfunctional family I have ever seen on screen. Seriously, if you ever thought your family was acting crazy, you have to watch this. Be careful, there will be spoilers ahead for the TV show The Bear. Fishes is the 6th episode of the 2nd season of The Bear, a TV show focusing on a young prodigy chef called Carmy, played brilliantly by Jeremy Allen White, who returns to Chicago, his hometown, to manage the sandwich shop of his brother who recently killed himself after struggling with addiction and mental illness. Most of Season 1 takes place in the Italian beef sandwich shop as Carmy learns to work with the rest of the chaotic staff, especially childhood friend Richie, while dealing with the unprocessed grief of his brother's death. The first season already introduced us to the unique shooting and editing style of The Bear, which is so stress-inducing that many people just can't binge watch it, and others just gave up on the TV show entirely because of how it made them feel. Especially for people who have worked in kitchens and didn't particularly like it, it's like going back into a traumatic situation. So from the start, The Bear didn't just show you how it was like to work in a kitchen of a restaurant, it made you feel it. The plot of the 2nd season revolves around Carmy, his sister, cousin, and the rest of the staff turning the sandwich shop into a proper restaurant after they found out that Carmy's brother left them money. It was expected that it would largely take place inside the kitchen as well, but here The Bear subverted our expectations and took us to surprising places. Fishes comes up mid-season, when the pressure to get the restaurant ready to open is sky high, and many things are not going as planned. Instead of getting an episode in the present timeline, we get this 1-hour flashback focusing on a Christmas Eve of Carmy's family. Although you will certainly appreciate this episode more if you see the rest of the show, especially because it tells you a lot about the backstory of these characters and what they mean to each other, I honestly think this episode is so good, you could just watch it as a short film and still enjoy it. So, let's get into it. The episode starts with Carmy's sister Natalie outside of the house with Mikey, their older brother, who warns her not to ask their mom if she is okay. You can tell they are worried because of Christmas past when other bad stuff happened, but they are keeping it together as a team. We then enter the kitchen where Donna, their mom, is cooking. It is intense. As you follow Donna doing a myriad of cooking tasks, you keep hearing a bunch of crosstalk. First about the meal, then about how Carmy is finally home, then about skateboards and about soda pop. All the time you hear some music playing in the background and the cooking timer going off. You feel for Carmy, who seems like he wants to focus and help, but his irritation is bubbling as he hears jabs about how he is too fancy for the family now and how his brother and his family friend Richie give him a hard time about the childhood crush. As people are talking and moving and cooking, the camera just follows them at their respective speeds, so you feel your eyes being dragged from one side to the other, up and down. As Donna goes at it in the kitchen cooking the famous 7 fishes meal as a Christmas Eve tradition, we get a glimpse of other characters' conflicts. Richie and his pregnant wife Tiff are having relationship issues, she feels neglected and she can't seem to trust Richie with fatherhood. Although he still acts a bit like an asshole, in this episode you actually see Richie being quite sensitive and trying to do better. Knowing how his marriage ended, it's kinda sad to see how much hope he had that he could break the cycle of self-destruction that seemed to plague both him and Tiff. Even going to the point of humiliating himself in front of Cicero, a family friend, in asking for a job. It's so desperate that Cicero helps him out at what you can tell is a critical point in Richie's relationship with Tiff. We also get to meet Michelle, one of Carmy's cousins. She's the one who escaped that toxic environment and she's living far away in New York City with Steve, whose calm and cheerful personality seems completely out of place in that house. Michelle knows how damaging the whole family dynamic is and offers Carmy to stay with her in NYC and get away. You kind of feel relieved for Carmy that someone seems to be on his side and can actually help. Mikey, Carmy's older brother, who is deceased by the time the series starts, also sees that something's off about Carmy and tries to get him to open up. Carmy shares with Mikey his idea for turning the sandwich shop into The Bear, a proper restaurant, foreshadowing everything that will happen much later in the TV show. Although he doesn't show it, you can tell Mikey is just overwhelmed by the idea, that he's in pain, he feels worthless. By the time we see him again, Mikey's looking weird and Richie, his best friend, senses it immediately. A conflict starts brewing between Lee, Donna's boyfriend, and Mikey. We're on alert now and we aren't the only ones. Family and friends keep whispering about Donna and wondering what crazy things she will do. Indeed, in the kitchen, things are not getting better. Donna gets increasingly drunk and erratic and hostile towards Natalie's attempts to help. At certain points, she's even threatening to kill herself. Natalie's boyfriend Pete finally arrives and makes the cardinal sin of bringing an 8th fish dish, upsetting everyone. If Stevie is out of place in that house, Pete is just from a completely different planet. You kind of feel for that guy who just has no idea of how to act around this family. All of these parallel scenes keep building tension. Midway through the episode, we can tell Donna is losing it and probably drunk out of her mind, Mikey's losing it and probably high, and Carmy and Natalie are hanging by a thread. But it seems dinner is finally ready. As people sit to eat dinner, the tension keeps rising. We hear the characters whispering about how stuff is getting dark. We feel the tension through them, and yet we see quick shots of how beautifully set the table is, how much thought was put into this meal. And we can see how conflicted Donna feels about all of this, about all the work she puts into this, and yet how it seems like it's never enough for her to just feel better, and how unfair she ends up being to those who love her most, going from vulnerable to hostile once they try to help. People are sitting down, the meal is about to start, and I was feeling like, hey, maybe everything would finally be okay now. Maybe there will be one last shouting match to diffuse the tension, but then they will finally get to enjoy dinner. Wow, was I wrong. The conflict between Mikey and Lee escalates to the point Mikey starts throwing forks at him, even though everyone literally begs him not to. Everyone at the table becomes a hostage to Mikey's breakdown and Lee's accusations, and we can tell how dangerous the situation is getting. It's such an ugly and painful scene. It's that feeling you get in your stomach when you hear the people you love saying unforgivable things, when you can tell a situation is spiraling out of control and you can't do anything to stop it, and you are angry and worried and heartbroken all at the same time, while you feel all your muscles tensing up and your heart pounding in expectation of what the hell will happen next. And again, the editing just makes all this feel so real. Then the tension breaks again as Donna enters the room. Stevie says grace, and it is actually beautiful despite of how awkward it is. After Stevie's speech, again, I thought, okay, we're off the hook, there are 5 minutes left in the episode, everyone seems moved, we're okay, we can breathe again. And then it's Donna's turn to break down. Everybody reassures her that they love her, but then Natalie does the one thing she shouldn't do and asks, are you okay? Oh, my heart sinks, and suddenly all hell breaks loose. Donna yells at everyone, and you can see in their faces they are just exhausted. Mikey throws a damn fork at Lee, a fight ensues, and just when you think it can possibly get any worse, Donna crashes the car into the dining room. And then you can see Carmy and Natalie just standing there, completely dissociating or something. It's an ending as intense as the entire episode. And that's Fishes. The most important thing about this episode is that it not only presents some of the dynamics of dysfunctional families, but it actually shows you how it feels to be part of a dysfunctional family during the holidays, which are a particularly intense time of year. You feel your heart pounding during the entire episode, always waiting for something to happen. Even when the family members are just hanging out and it seems they are enjoying themselves, you can't feel completely relieved because there is always this terrible tension pulsating beneath all of their laughs and jokes. You keep waiting for something awful to happen, and yet, when it does, it's still worse than what you had dared to imagine. The episode is brilliantly directed and the cast is just perfection. I think it's one of the best performances of Jamie Lee Curtis, and other actors like Jon Bernthal, Bob Odenkirk, Sarah Paulson also do an amazing job, besides the usual cast of The Bear like Jeremy Allen White, Eben Moss-Backrack, and Abby Elliott. For fans of the show, this episode helps contextualize so much about these characters, their struggles, and their bond. Like, I only managed to really understand why Carmy puts up with Richie after this episode, and it also explains so much about Natalie, and also about Mikey and why he did what he did. I'm not an expert, but from what I've read, the episode is also an accurate depiction of mental health struggles and family trauma. I think this episode of The Bear is objectively the best of the TV show, because whether you are talking about the script, the cinematography, the acting, it's all just so good, it could be its own standalone film. But it might surprise you to know that the following episode, focusing on Richie, is probably my favorite. If you haven't watched The Bear, you really have to go stream it now. It really is such an amazing show. That's it for now. If you like this video, don't forget to hit thumbs up and subscribe. This really helps small creators like myself. Thanks for watching, and until next time.